What is up, Hawk fans? Yesterday, while I was officiating some U.S. water polo at the club level, in between games, I recorded, when I was on my break, I recorded a video talking about doing a part 2 of the Fran McCaffery situation, because when I recorded the part 1, I was basically responding to a post from this quote-unquote insider / possible troll account. And then I did some research myself, typed in Fran McCaffery, Iowa basketball, and Hawk Insider did a full-blown article on possible replacements for Fran McCaffery. So it absolutely is something that's being discussed. Now, this has been something that's been thought about, I would say, for the past 2.5, maybe 3 years when it comes to Fran McCaffery. Something you guys need to understand as Iowa fans is the Iowa media, just like all media, kind of has a cyclical situation where there's certain topics that they try and hit at various points in the season to increase their engagement, viewership, site visits, stuff like that. Does it mean that their information is completely inaccurate? Of course not. But it does mean to take it with a grain of salt. Now, regardless of all that, I've already talked about Fran McCaffery as much as I can, and I will still talk about him slightly right now. This morning, reported by all major Iowa publications, Owen Freeman, and somebody did comment this on one of my videos, and I'm thankful they did. I was on the lookout for it. I asked for a source, but he probably got it from one of the message boards. And by the way, guys, I do really appreciate that. I do appreciate you guys, because I don't want to pay for the message boards. To me, it's not the one or the couple of decent pieces of information are not worth the every month payment for it. But I do appreciate those of you guys who do believe it's worth it. That's totally fine. And you guys post the knowledge that you guys have under my videos. I do appreciate that. Just a little tidbit, if you could put the source, it would definitely help, because then I can look into it. But anyways, so thank you for that. Shout out to the person who did that, who said that Owen Freeman and Brock Harding would be shutting it down. Now, as of this recording, we haven't heard about Brock, and maybe I should wait until the day is done to see if Brock Harding shuts it down. But as of this recording, early Monday morning, Owen Freeman has officially shut it down because of a broken finger. So this season for the Iowa Hawkeyes is all but done. I think the only question is, how bad is it going to be? How bad is it going to finish? And there's some peripheral things, like anytime a guy goes down, it allows you to see other players. There's going to be some other players that get more minutes. If I had to guess, I would say that Iowa is going to start with Lajai Dembele and see how he works as a traditional small ball 5. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to work well. Okay, Lajai Dembele, and so actually, you know what? They might not, but the problem is they don't really have a ton of options. That really they only have Evan Bronze, Riley Mulvey, and Lajai Dembele. And I think Fran and somebody said Seydou Traore. Guys, Seydou Traore is way too small. He's 6'7". He's not playing center, okay, as a starter. But now I know Melshon Basabi was 6'7", and he put in work. But he was also next to Adam Woodbury. So we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be Lajai Dembele, but the next person I would say would probably be Riley Mulvey. I still don't understand to this day why Evan Bronze doesn't get a lot of minutes. The guy is a Division I level guy, obviously. He played at Belmont. He's super bouncy. Physically, he looks great. Maybe he just doesn't have really, he's so bad skill-wise that Fran McCaffery's like, nah, we can't play him. I don't know. It's kind of hard to evaluate Evan Bronze. But nonetheless, this situation will allow us to evaluate some of these other players. One of them is Chris Taggio, who by at least one recruiting service is one of the highest rated recruits Fran McCaffery has landed in a long, long time. On3 had him as a top 50 recruit. So, but they might be worried about burning his red shirt. So we'll see with that. He is 6'8", 6'9". Physically, I think he's more able to get some of those center minutes than somebody like Seydou Traoré. Seydou Traoré is athletic, but he doesn't have the same width, broad shoulders. He's kind of a narrow, slimmer 6'7", kind of like a Price Sanford. But this season's essentially done, guys. And what does this mean for Fran McCaffery? I mean, I think that this means that his seat gets even hotter. I would give Iowa's chances like a 10, even with Owen Freeman. I'd give them like a 30 to 40% chance of finishing the year strong, probably more like 30%. Without Owen Freeman, it drops down to like 10%. And it might be really bad. And Iowa might not even make the NIT tournament. And what's crazy about this is if you think about last year's team, Iowa really only lost Ben Krikke and Tony Perkins. And yeah, they were definitely contributors to the team. But as far as the core of the team, Iowa returned most of their guys. But sometimes the difference between a year or two can be massive. And, it seems as though a lot of those guys are almost there, but they're not quite there towards, being a NCAA tournament quality level talent. At times they are, but most of the time this year they have not. So you just look at last year. I definitely expected them to be better than last year. At times this year they have been, but for the most part they haven't. But yeah, guys, I don't know what else to say. I mean, this year's done essentially, and if Iowa spirals out of control, it very well might spell the end for Fran McCaffery. Again, I've already talked about all these things before. As far as Fran McCaffery goes, he might be given one more year, kind of like what I've been, what I've been saying I'm going to give him because of the talent that he has on the roster. But outside of that, I mean, and it might actually work in his favor that Owen Freeman went down, because now, Beth Gates might not be able to properly evaluate him. Here's my answer on all of it, okay? If Beth Gates, and I'm just going to put this succinctly, if Beth Gates believes she can find somebody better than she, and has somebody that she thinks she can get to Iowa, then that's what they should do. And I would say that whether Fran McCaffery was an NCAA tournament coach or not, I mean, if you do think that you have that person to propel your program, then you should go for it. Because you should always be reaching for more and more and more. But that's my mentality. And I alluded to this in the previous video, part 2 of the Fran McCaffery update. Beth Gates, just like anybody in a position of leadership or a prominent position, right or wrong that she's there, they had to sell their vision, their idea to the powers that be. So if you don't think that she has an agenda, and if you don't think that she has her candidates in mind, her hires, and wants to make her own hires other outside of Gary Barta's hires, you're mistaken. Okay? Any coach that's a holdover, even Kirk Ferentz, but I would say he's kind of in a slightly separate category, but he's still, even him slightly, that was a Gary Barta hire. The new AD is going to be looking to replace and put her own person in there, because then they can stamp their name behind their success. So we'll see, guys. I mean, only time will tell with this. I can, at this point, I can see it going a lot of different directions. I would still be surprised, based on the Iowa roster and kind of Fran's situation, I would be surprised if Fran himself steps away. I would be less surprised if Beth Gates says, you know what, we are parting ways, doesn't fire Fran, but like strongly urges him to get out the door to find a new coach. Because sometimes that does happen where it's like a mutual separation. But again, even with that, you have contractual agreements and duties. So, man, it's too bad. Too bad. I mean, Owen Freeman going down, it's too bad. And as far as he goes, you know, I know that the question is already going to be, do I think that he's going to be at Iowa next year? I mean, I'll put it to you this way. Any player like Owen Freeman, much like Tony Perkins, is going to have options. And Owen Freeman is in a better situation than Tony Perkins because he's a center. It's hard to find, very hard to find, a skilled center or a skilled big. So Iowa will always have competition when it comes to holding, every school does now, when it comes to holding on to their talent. So I wish him a speedy recovery, and you know, this year definitely could be worse, but definitely has not met expectations either. All right, guys, if there's any more updates, I'll do another update. This is, of course, a part 3. We'll see if there's any more. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment. You guys know the drill. And last but not least, DBAP! Don't be a pussy, Willow. In facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. I love you, Hawk fans. See you guys next time. Bye-bye. Go Hawks.